So we had an opportunity to talk to King John. Woohoo!
1, 2, 3. Post Show and Tell with Dr. Ken.
Welcome to Post Show and Tell. Today we're talking about episode Kevin O'Connell. My name is Joz Wang. I'm your host, and this is my guest co-host.
Hi, I'm JD Brown, a communications expert.
So JD, tell us what happens in this episode.
So in this episode, we see Ken taken aback by meeting Allison's former boyfriend, Kevin O'Connell, played by guest star Will Yoon Lee, who we all know as the Wolverine. He's a very successful and hot doctor. So when Ken is asked to speak at a banquet honoring his fellow doctor colleague, he uses the opportunity more as a roast. Meanwhile, we see Molly struggling with a school assignment about what she wants to be when she grows up. So we had an opportunity to talk to Suzy Nakamura on set.
So we're here on the set of Dr. Ken. This is Suzy Nakamura, who plays Dr. Allison Park, and we're thrilled to be chatting with her for Post Show and Tell. So we've got a bunch of great episodes that have already aired, but this one I've been really excited about, the Kevin O'Connell episode with Will Yoon Lee. So, everybody's just watched it right now, and what I love about this episode is that we get to see a former flame of Allison's.
Yes, a little bit of her history.
Tell us about what it was like to, talk about your past with this character who's got, she's married, she's got a family and kids, but she's got somebody coming back from her past.
Well, what I love about, getting a three-dimensional look at Allison is there's so many TV moms and wives that I don't know a lot about, only because it seems a lot of the sitcoms are driven by the male characters, and the women are almost like accessories or supporting characters to that character, and maybe they'll make references to maybe where they went to school or something like that. But I love that Allison, at least for, the start of the show in this episode, is she has a very fleshed out life, just like Ken's character does. They're both doctors, so she went to medical school, and she dated a guy in medical school who also became a doctor, obviously. So I like that idea that, she's bringing this history to the show in a much more three-dimensional way than I've seen. And I'm really happy that I get to portray that.
For me personally, I try not to be too Asian American-y with the questions, but I can't help it because there's so many things that are happening that are really groundbreaking, and I think people don't really realize it. So it's nice to me. I think it's nice to just call them out when it happens. First of all, we have an Asian American couple, both people who are both doctors. That's really amazing. But we also have you who has dated another Asian in the past. The whole concept of Asians dating one another in sitcoms is actually pretty foreign. I don't think people realize this. And so I think I get really excited when I see especially Asian males as romantic leads. And Will Yoon Lee is coming.
Oh my God. I mean, please. But this is the detail that we really didn't talk about in the episode, but that I like, that I think Allison dated a lot of guys in, school and stuff, but she dated another Korean guy. She married a Korean guy, Ken, but she dated another Korean guy named Kevin O'Connell, and that's what irks Ken. Like, that's what bothers him, is that he was Korean and I didn't tell him. And that's just a small detail that, I don't know, I like. It's very realistic.
Yeah, and it's really funny too, because that's part of the joke, right?
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me?
Well, tell us about when Will Yoon Lee was on set, because I know there was a ton of excitement whenever there's guest stars, but especially somebody like that who, people know from other contexts, but maybe not in a sitcom or comedy context. What was it like to have him on set?
Oh, he's fantastic. He was fantastic. And we actually had been rehearsing for the whole day and, blocking stuff. And then he said, I haven't done a multicam before. And it completely surprised me because he just looked so comfortable, doing it. And it's a specific genre acting-wise, because you're kind of almost like on a stage and you're shooting it in front of a live audience. It's like a mini play. But he was great. And what I loved is when you see him standing next to Ken, you have this spectrum of Asian males right in front of you right? Because usually it's the Asian guy or the Asian person, but when you see both of Allison's exes, you see this range of characters just in those two, which is funny, but it's also important, right? To depict more than one type of person.
Absolutely. And I think that like there's the ongoing joke of how basically everybody finds him attractive because he is attractive. But I mean that's like it's just so great how how everybody from Dr. Julie to Clark also just finding him totally attractive.
I mean he's like a movie star, right? And he's also the nicest guy, and he played it right. He wasn't like trying to be funny. He played the truth. And he played the realness of this character, which made it absolutely funny.
Well, one of the things that I really love about having this show on air and another Asian American show is that we get to see guest actors who are Asian American, who we've seen in bit parts throughout the years. People like Clyde and Jeannie. Are there any, if you were to wave a magic wand and to bring in other characters, which actors or even what characters would they be?
I have one brother in real life, and so I would love Allison to have a sibling that comes, brother or sister, just because that's an important part of our lives is our siblings, because they experience the same upbringing. But if there's an age difference, sometimes it's completely different. Their experience with the parents are completely different, and there's always the sibling rivalry thing, so there's always that. But I don't know. I haven't really thought that much about it. I've assumed Allison has a sibling at least, if not siblings. I'd love to see them.
So we'll find out, hopefully in the future with more seasons, with more seasons
we'll
and
see,
more
I
episodes.
hope so.
Thanks so much, Suzy.
Thank you, Joz. Bye. Thank you.
We have an opportunity to talk to Kate Simses on set.
So we're here in the kitchen of the Park family on Dr. Ken's set, and what we have here is Kate Simses, who plays the character of Dr. Julie on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
So excited. First of all, I loved you in Mixology.
Oh, thank you.
So that show was a comedy too, but totally different tone. What's it like to be on this show?
Yeah, that was a single cam, so we, obviously didn't have the live audience, which is so invigorating. That's the biggest difference to me in the making of it.
Have you done another multi-cam show before?
Oh, this is my first time doing it.
How is it to have this on-set family?
Amazing. They are, because first of all, they are extremely, everyone has so much experience, and I'm learning a lot. And obviously, they've also done, like Tisha and Jonathan and Dave, all the people that I work with in the HMO have done multicam before, so I'm learning a ton from them. But they just are such good people, and we have such a good time.
You guys look like you're having a good time, like not just when you're on set, but like I see you guys tweeting and like having fun off set.
Oh, we do. We hang out. That is all genuine, just like people enjoying each other.
So we're getting a lot of your comments just on the first few episodes, which have aired, and a lot of people really love Dr. Julie because she's so sweet and she's so naive. Part of it is the voice. Do people make fun of your voice?
When I was younger, definitely. When I was in high school, my guidance counselor, he was being kind. He was saying, I don't know if you'll ever get a job with that voice. So he's like, you may want to go to a speech therapist. And I went and I would walk around the halls like trying to make my voice lower and stuff, but it actually just physically is not, like that. So once I embraced it, I think people, sort of read that from me, that I wasn't afraid of it anymore. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
There's a scene, actually it's in an earlier episode, where Julie hugs herself, and we got so many comments about that scene.
That was purely, I think we were just messing around that day, and we were looking for like a button for the scene, and that's what came out of it. So yeah, it actually feels really good to hug yourself. I don't know if you tried it after, you might want to try. It's in the privacy of your own home, but it's actually quite comforting.
So in the episode Kevin O'Connell, there's a lot of really fun interaction between Dr. Julie and the character Kevin O'Connell, played by Will Yun Lee.
Yes.
Talk about what that was like in those scenes that you did, and
it's not hard to be enamored with Will Yun Lee, because he is a super kind person, really fun-loving, really warm, and very attractive. So we all were sort of mooning over him the entire time.
Like in real life and not just acting on the show.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yes, and he was so, this is something outside of the box from what he normally does. And he was like, man, this is really something. This is a different muscle. And we were like, you have every muscle. How are you not? He was great. He was so natural. And yeah, we were really happy to have him here.
Well, what's great about this episode is that we are finally getting to see your characters outside of the HMO setting.
Yes, we got to wear real people clothes. It was that was
not just
exciting.
real people clothes.
Yeah.
You guys were dressed up.
Yeah, yes, they were some beautiful, beautiful clothes. They were.
So if you were to, write your own scene about some other setting that you would get to put your character, Dr. Julie, with Clark, or maybe without, in some other setting, what would it be?
Oh, well, there's a cat cafe. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
So there was a pop-up one in New York where I live, and I think that would be the ideal setting for Clark and Julie.
How come a cat cafe of all places?
Well, Julie really loves her cats. She has a ton of cats on her desk, little props of cats and pictures of cats. And I think that it would just be like an overstimulation, so it'd be a very heightened scene. It'd be a good time.
That's awesome. I think cat cafes came from Asia.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they're Japanese.
Yes. Yeah,
So.
but I'm so glad they made their way here.
Well, one of the things I really liked about for this episode was that it's kind of when the worlds collide. So you see the work and you see the home life and you see them combine and you see, an interaction between the family and the coworkers. And, those are always fun moments. And, I don't know if you've had those, but I certainly like attending a gala or a banquet or something and you finally that first time when, your spouse or partner, meets your coworkers and you're just like, please don't embarrass me. Please don't embarrass me.
Yeah, for me, I really love seeing them get dressed up. I think, it's nice to see the HMO folks not in scrubs.
Right.
But, they all looked really great. And I just think anybody who's wearing a, tuxedo, love
Black
that.
tie.
Yep.
So, Joz, why don't you tell me about someone from your past coming into your life?
That can be a scary thing, right? It could go one of two ways, but I've been really lucky. I had a friend who I knew from actually elementary school and high school come back into my life. I'm from a time when we didn't have internet and email or social media to keep in touch with people, so you did lose touch with people after high school. And a few years after high school, my friend found me and he said, hey, what's going on? And we reconnected, and it was as if the time had not passed.
Oh, that's great. I love those moments. I also enjoy now seeing some of the people from my past on social media and thinking, wow, you've really let yourself go. But no, I love those moments when you can really reconnect with somebody and it's, just like yesterday.
So we're always asking what we're excited about, and I'm really glad to see that we're seeing different characters develop over time. What I'm still excited to see is to see the friends of Molly and Dave. We know that Molly has friends, we've heard of them, but we haven't seen any of them yet, and we haven't seen any of Dave's friends, and he is a weird kid, so I actually wonder what kind of friends he has.
Right. I'm actually also looking forward to seeing, two of the great comedic veterans on there, Tisha Campbell-Martin and Dave Foley, their characters really be able to explore and play and just meld their, comedic genius into, their characters. And I think it's I look forward to that a lot.
I think whenever Demona speaks, I just cannot stop laughing. She delivers those one-liners so perfectly. Yeah. I just can't stop laughing whenever she says anything.
Yeah, and Pat, Dave Foley's character, I am glad last week we saw, that he, his character developed more in his conversation with Ken, and I look forward to him being the, zany hospital administrator, but also, kind of developing into, maybe a character that, the whole HMO kind of looks up to and continues to build their relationship.
So whenever we watch sitcoms, we don't really realize how influential they can be in our day-to-day lives. There are all kinds of catchphrases that, filter into our everyday use.
It's really funny you mention that because for the longest time, and even still today, I'll say, damn, Gina, without realizing, because I'd never seen the TV show Martin, that was Tisha Campbell Martin. And so I'm very much looking forward to what from Dr. Ken I'm going to be saying in the next 5 or 10 years.
So if you were to give Dr. Ken a catchphrase, what would it be? Let us know in the comments, tweet at us, subscribe, like. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, JD, for joining.
Thank you for having me, Joz.
See you next time.
Bye.